first order of business is the selection of a committee recording secretary. Any volunteers? I know. You'll do it?
All right, great. Thank you.
All right. How are you? Project update is HVAC project. I started the meeting, if you don't want to take over first, that's fine. Like for you to be this corporate secretary. Of course. Thank you.
So I thought this month and moving forward, I provided a little mini report, if you will, in the packet for the projects, and this will grow as we get the other subcontractors going and so forth, with this little summary for the HVAC project where they're at. So that's a financial summary. So you've approved almost $80,000 worth of changes for that contract. There's 82,000 in pending changes, which are being reviewed right now by the engineer and us.
I'm curious, we're 2 years into this. Why are the changes at this stage? This was supposed to be finished.
Well, so we're not 2 years in, but I get your point the same. So this is,
So we're 2 construction systems.
yeah. So this, part of this change is to replace a valve and the mixing valve for the hot water and the pump that pumps it. That was never part of the project, but is failing in the school. So it's something that Steve has asked for. So that's roughly about $10,000 of this 82,000.
Okay.
And then the balance of it is additional glycol needed to fill the system to get it up to 30% protection. So that's what the engineer is looking at now to qualify that vendor.
You couldn't say this out in the original base bid.
So there was an amount of glycol in the base bid to provide, which the contractor did, and it got it up to 9%. Which, you
Is
know,
that enough?
well, it calls for 30 to get it to somewhere near 30. You had, when they started, it was 0. You had no protection. You kind of went along, and it would be a shame to spend all this money and your first 20 degree day.
That's not my argument. My argument is, why didn't we know this in the basement? I mean, we live in New England. We know what the temperatures are.
I guess my only comment I can make to that is they underestimated in the design what was needed to get it to basically, because they called for 900 gallons of glycol to go, which was provided, but it only got to 9%.
I'm really getting discouraged by the lack of engineering that goes into this stuff all the time. Really,
I can have my engineer.
having them address it at this point in time is pointless.
Well, it will give you an explanation to your concern.
This goes right back to arguments we've had in the past where we can't plan for this stuff. And the purpose of paying an engineer is to figure it out going in. That's what you're supposed to do, solve the problems. Okay,
Moving on to schedule, so there's 8 items that are now complete on the CX log that we have to get the CX back to verify is being done. And he'll have wrapped everything up and he's working on his closeout documents now. Smith, we just don't have them on. And the critical discussion, those are the change orders we just talked about. There's none to approve tonight. Any more questions on these?
when are we gonna be finished? I mean, done. signed off, done, complete.
So the commissioning agent should be back in next week. And if everything rings out, that he checks his comments from before, next week it'll be done.
But they're not ready for us to,
Well, because we don't have the final
because they're on the file.
number, if you will, for it, to make sure that we check this out.
So when you first did it, there's no black holes on the wall.
Right.
Trained the entire thing.
No, there
No,
was
there's never been glycol.
That's the
There was a problem with it before, nothing broke. and nothing-
Oh, before I got here, I had 17 heating unit breaking.
You need to have it. There, any external fire. And it goes outside. it's-
That's why we have glycol now, because it was a waste of time to put it in at this point, at the last point, because all the units that were external were already on. So it's good that we have glycol.
I understand it's good to get one call, I just don't understand why it wasn't part of the base bid. So.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak because I want to let my engineer explain everything, but I don't know that they can calculate exactly the quantity of glycol that it's going to take. So on the base bid, they call for a certain amount, and if that doesn't bring you up to a point, then that's it.
I don't know, I did an awful lot of piping takeoffs as a young engineer. You know where things are located, you know what's gonna take the pipe, you know what diameters are. Calculate volumes. It's not terribly difficult if you want to take the time to do it right. Which we're obviously paying for it because it's all I keep seeing in the bills.
That's true. They could have over estimated the cost that let's say they calculated an X amount and just to be safe, they put an extra. But then you would have been paying for something that they didn't do. So they probably use a conservative figure that was carried. Either way, you would have paid. Either if we would have done it before or.
That, and you, when you get this discussion. So I'm done. And just in the future, if I'm paying for engineering services, I want the engineering done. If I'm paying for project manager, I want a check. I grew up in commercial nuclear power. Different discipline, I get it, but it's the same principles.
Moving on to the stage 3 projects, the roofing, so. Making hopefully a color selection with Steve after this meeting for the roof shingle. And, we have the shingle here if anybody wants to look at it. We did find one that meets the criteria of the spec and is available in about 2 weeks. So we're wrapping up the submittals for those and finalizing the work plan. We'll have a pre-install meeting with each school to discuss where materials are going to go and what sections to work on first and so forth. Site work for this school here. Submittals are in for review. He's mobilizing on the 6th. We're trying to get the tree cutter in here before school starts. I don't have confirmation on that yet.
But they've already been in cut and put all the hay
Right.
down,
Yeah, erosion control.
locked everything. They've been in, I've spoken with them, they have my number, they have my contact.
Right. Wayne mentioned that.
I sat 3 hours in traffic to environmental emails on 195 coming home from work.
Well, I don't think that's gonna happen next year.
I'm just being 3 hours sitting there twiddling my thumbs because we got floods. Because we can't drain through the hay bales.
So he's gearing up to be here on site and over at the playground site. He'll be working at both schools simultaneously. And the work at this school will be done by November 3rd. We've worked out a schedule with them, which I have here tonight. And same for the playground, except for the playground itself will be in January. And then depending on how the winter is, if we can install that or wait till spring and then finish the job over at Walton.
Alrighty, That was a good summary. Sounds like the roof project's well moving back out or well on the way at this point. Site work and parking lot. How are we doing on the general construction rebid?
That's due on the 8th. So we have 5 that have committed to bidding right now. They've received drawings and specs and so forth, so. If all 5 show up, and we're in close communication with them. We have another pre-bid walkthrough on Monday. We had one last Monday as well. So. I think we'll have much better turnout than last time.
When are they due?
8th.
All right, we have some invoice approvals. So, looks like we have automatic temperature controls. We have Downs Construction Company, even Turner and Gerard Architects. We've had any questions? Also, that I think is the change order. The 82,000. So
That's just ATC's rec. That's the one. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions concerning any of these invoices? Someone want to make a motion? Make a motion. Anyone want to second that? Someone. So. All those in favor? Aye. All right, I think we pretty much talked about the project timeline. Briefly, does anybody have any more questions concerning that? I mean, my concern, when will the roof start?
I'm gonna say within 30 days from now.
As it gives you pretty much the month of October. Might get Thanksgiving.
Yes, he thinks he'll be done early November. Just in time.
Not a big fan, just. Let's see, the second.
I think it's a
Friday,
Thursday.
so that's just the Thursday, we could probably meet on Thursday. Everybody's available. Stand fresh.
Yeah, they're due at 1, and we wouldn't have scheduled them yet, but we could certainly get together and approve it pending a successful scope review. Or probably Friday. I could set it up for Friday.
Wait a week, yes.
Or I don't know if you could meet like the following Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, the 8th is, this-
When's the school committee? That's the following Tuesday.
that's the 8th, isn't it?
8th Thursday.
November,
The school committee is gonna be.
November 8th? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were saying November. Okay, I apologize. Yeah, school committee's the 13th.
I mean, in the big scheme of things, if we waited another week, it's not gonna kill anything. If that works better than Tuesday.
Well, it's Tuesday's school committee meeting, so.
Oh, so you can't have
You
you.
know, some of us can be here, some of us
Yeah.
can't. I don't care. Nothing goes on, I get some miles.
What goes on in my house?
All right, well.
Like I said, if you want to do it on the 8th, the program would be contingent on the scope review with no surprises.
That's, I'd rather the scope review done first, because then we'll know what the surprises are. And want to see. Doing it on the 8th, if the scope review is not complete, it's gonna be based on numbers.
Right.
Numbers only. Yeah, let's set it up. For the 15th. So next meeting will be the 15th. So, Thursday. Okay, is there anything else?
Who's going to be involved in selecting the color for the votes? I know Steve. Steve. We have it here, in case everybody else wants to be involved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, right on. Sky. Oh, I was thinking, right, red, there would be black up there.
Well, I have to go, so. White colors.
What shade would go?
They don't want to change that one.
Okay.
You can take it home tonight, Steve, put it under your pillow.
I know what color I want. Nobody else wants that color, so
What
Oh,
color?
really?
I want to see it.
I like to see.
May look at see it with this.
Kind of like the color that we already have.
Middle. This one.
Yeah.
I've had that color in my 32 years. Still doesn't-
Oh, but the color.
I know that. I know that. I'm just going based on my experience with that roof.
Okay. What I think is that it.
It did
Draws
just
too much heat in the summertime and in the wintertime it draws it up in the elbow set, so it's kind of.
Steve, you win.
Neutral.
It's just the color I like. It has nothing to do with how long it lasts. It's the color I like.
That is not a decision I care. White is totally, I just want to do it black.
Colors never work.
Nice and neutral color.
Minimal color, same kind of scheme. You can make this all, so. If everybody's comfortable with Steve taking the decision.
No problem.
All right, so is there any other business that we need to discuss? Done? Done. All right. Motion to adjourn. Okay. All those in favor?
Still.
I've got the notes for the meeting tonight. Yeah.
Joe. Oh, really? Yeah. I'll not check it. Yeah. So. Oh, well. On the top. Get along.
Do you want this?
I already picked the color. that we needed.
Oh, good to see you, sir.
I
you doing?
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
You're here. You're here. Yeah, thank you. I immediately. We do the next. Somebody knows yet, but there's an ER place. Dresses. No, so if somebody sends like a. Read the task. Believe it or not. We made a request. I only have half of it. So now it's drawn out. Still continuing on investigation. Yeah, and the battery, all confused, smoke. Wow. Within the budget for the chair, $5,000. Yeah, good. Wow. So like, we were the last ones to do this, is it really common? Or is it international? It's not used. That's
Yeah, so he's got no problem.
It's still not a policy on the national. When I asked our attorney. Yeah. We did, they was this request, they was resident, and they call our request. Yeah. So it's the. Thing we didn't go with request. He looked at it, exactly, well, it's what I offered this, and it's what it is. I don't really agree. A lot of money is. Consensus is your problem. Just implemented that. Right, so say I as a town council bring me up, so I have one email address, right? So that's also scrapped. So one from looking about here, because we have the town council that don't do that. And I all counties. Getting everyone in the county to stop using their personal address if they've had for 20 years.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, thank you.